Welcome to the Coach and Crew Show.
Today's edition of the Coach and Crew Show, we are joined with Kyle Nash, the student of the game, representing two different brands, Black and Gold Banneret and the three-point conversion. We're going to talk a little UCF and get ready for one of my favorite bowl games, the Gasparilla Bowl. So, Kyle, thank you for joining me. We had a fun story of how we met unofficially, but we'll get to that later. But so let's rewind real quick. Gus arrives in Central Florida. The first thing he does is put up billboards in Gainesville, Tallahassee, and assumably Miami about how far it is to Orlando. Fast forward to the end of the season with one major injury aside, how would you evaluate year one of the Gus bus?
Oh man, I mean, you mentioned a one major injury. How about many major injuries? But listen, I love the hiring from moment one, and it was interesting. I've only been covering the team since 2017, but it was interesting. My first time being beat reporting with a veteran coach, and Coach Gus kind of just shines in a particular way just from talking to him. That's different overall. Now, say what you will, he's being conspiracy theory, air quote, linked, as college football fans often do, to the departure of quarterback Dillon Gabriel. I'm not buying it. But overall, listen, the question was posed to me by other people in the media press box at the time when UCF was the first team in the state to become bowl eligible is, would Josh Heupel, the previous coach who's now at Tennessee, win these games that Gus has coached and presided for this team to grit through? A lot of people were coming up with the answer was no on that one. I'll tell you that, Charlie.
Well, and I'm a Gus fan as well, but it's funny. I can mock all of his losing situations, and I can praise all of his winning situations because I've seen the highs and I've experienced the lows.
Yeah.
But I mean, the go back to the first game with Boise State, and that was a great second half comeback and a hell of a game just to watch as a casual fan.
Mm-hmm.
And then yes, the injury to Gabriel happened. And Keen, he's a pure freshman, right? Or was he at least redshirted?
No, he was a true freshman.
So he got thrown into the mix. Is that correct?
Oh, absolutely right. Yeah, that game against Navy was his first start. And as it would turn out, that wasn't the only big injury they would have after Louisville. Linebacker Tatum Bethune would miss time after that. In a game later, their center Matt Lee would come in and out. Isaiah Bowser, the top running back, who would such a key part of that comeback against Boise State, would miss significant time later in the season. Jalen Robinson, Dillon Gabriel's number one receiver the previous year, would miss a lot of time. And I could go on and on. I mean, let's put it this way. At one point, Coach Malzahn himself joined the IR.
That's right.
I mean, come on, man.
They made a little box for him for his leg injury. Yes, that's right. Defensively, Big Cat led the team in sacks, but there was other highlights as well. Who do you think stood out the most to you for the defensive side this year?
I mean, I mentioned Tatum Bethune earlier, and he's the big deal. This guy has over 100 tackles to his name total on the field there, and is literally everywhere you can find him. Some other DBs have stepped up big, but you got to like Tatum Bethune's presence. It starts there. Also, Big Cat, as a note, does lead the team in tackles for loss. Granted, a lot of that happens after, again, another big loss, defensive tackle Kalia Davis. I mean, this is a guy who's universally seen talent-wise as the best football player on the squad, possibly. If not, he's certainly the best defensive football player, if not best on the squad, compared to the center Matt Lee on the other side. But just Big Cat Brian going in there, a lot of disruption, not a lot of sacks, but he's going to force a lot of mistakes of the quarterback. That's typically his role. But between him and Tatum Bethune up front, a lot of good stuff going good there. And I'll tell you, for me, Devod Wilson, the defensive back, has made a lot of plays. He'll sneak up on you. He's got a sack or two to his name, and excellent coverage guy as well. So that's some of the big names there you're going to want to look for.
So this Thursday, how perfect of a setup is it? Probably no coincidence why it's one of three bowl games to sell out. You've got UCF versus Florida, and in my opinion, Florida's been a self-inflicted hot mess since last year's Orange Bowl. Now Napier, I think, is a phenomenal hire, but I don't think he starts yet.
No.
Is can I assume UCF is drooling at the bits for kickoff?
Oh my goodness. I don't know how much you and I were talking about how much you followed UCF recently. I don't know if you saw the big controversy with the previous athletic director Danny White and Florida's athletic director Scott Strickland, and how they were best in the news circling one another. No, not 2-for-1, 2-for-1. No, not 2-for-1. Well, hey, all that's irrelevant. Now, granted, the new athletic director Terry Mahajir has signed some sort of a thing where they will be playing in the future, but that's irrelevant now. We have the first meeting of this group since 2006, the second of two meetings, the first being in 1999. So that's a huge deal in itself. And let me add this too, right? Already before this the coming Thursday's game is played, UCF has appeared in 4 of the top 5 Gasparilla Bowls in the game, in that game's history. And with the attendance that you see now, they're probably going to have the most attendance, with this being Florida's first thing as well. Hey, listen, you might as well start calling this the Gasparilla chart. I'm just saying.
So how do you think, honestly, without trying to show your homework card, but so much, how Thursday's going to play out?
Hey, listen, one thing I won't play the homer cone. I love throwing puns. The homer thing I don't do in analysis. And here's where it's going to be decided for me. It's going to be up front. Look at the Louisville game in and of itself. There was a situation where you had a commonality between what UCF's facing in that game and this upcoming Gasparilla Bowl, right? Malik Cunningham was a quarterback who could move and throw the ball relatively well. I mean, he's not going to be a sniper with the football, but he's going to do enough to make you think twice about where to go. And when you make an opening, he's going to make the pass. A quarterback that Gus Malzahn actually had recruited at one time or another as what he refers to as his old job. Lo and behold, we get a media availability from Gus Malzahn, and he's asked about Florida quarterback Emory Jones, who, even though he's going to leave, he's going to play in this game. So he's going to play in this game, but it's very confusing. The important thing for this, he's going to be in that backfield, and he has the opportunity to do the very same thing to the UCF defense that Louisville's Malik Cunningham did. But what's that common link? Coach Malzahn mentions he recruited one Emory Jones, just 30 minutes away or so from his old job. So there's a certain kind of quarterback that Coach Gus is looking for. And I'll tell you, this group is going to need to be able to cover the outside a lot better than they did against Malik Cunningham, albeit in a close loss when the loss they had in week 2.
Let's switch one more question for you real quick. And we're chatting with Kyle Nash, the student of the game, featured in black and gold banneret and the 3-point conversion. You can follow him on Twitter again at the SOTG, the student of the game. Big 12. It's still a few years away, but it's going to be a big deal. Have you already seen like recruiting was announced last week? Has there been any type of jump or bump in like recruiting or just notoriety? I know you kick off in like 2024 against BYU, that opening weekend when it officially becomes official. What have you seen just since the announcement?
Oh, there's been all sorts of buzz that's absolutely crazy. I mean, whether you want to attribute it to the Gus hiring or the move to the Big 12 or aspects of both, this recruiting class that was reported this past Wednesday on signing day was the highest ranked in UCF's history. So if that doesn't speak for itself there, I don't know what more I can do for you there. But I would also argue, I know this is a football focus, but keep in mind for UCF, the biggest winner could be argued to be the basketball program and all that will entail in playing against Kansas and all the other big schools there in the Big 12. So that should be a lot of fun, especially since there's allegedly some sort of monetary errors that could be delaying the departure of Oklahoma and Texas. There's a little bit more big time competition that they could have on their schedules in both basketball and football programs.
Very interesting. And I'm sure Dawkins is chomping at the bits for that possibility as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, there's a reason that both the men and the women have scheduled teams, more big teams than usual, other than it's just scheduling being hard. They're trying to prepare people for that jump to the next level of competition. Because say what you will about UCF's football team going to the Big 12, UCF is used to high-powered offense, and their defense at times struggles. Sound familiar at all for the Big 12? But basketball-wise, the guys will play Michigan on the 30th, and the women have already played Tennessee and Arkansas, both very big programs on the women's side for basketball. So yeah, the scheduling is kicked up, and they're starting to try to transition to get used to life in these bigger conferences.
Final question before we let you go. Let's go circle back to the Gasparilla Bowl itself. What's the week of prep been like? How's the injury front? Are we seeing some healthy people come back? And then what are you expecting? Is it going to be a 60-40 crowd? Is it going to be a 50-50 crowd? Is it going to be a 90-10 crowd? What are you thinking what Thursday's going to look like?
A couple weeks ago, I went over this with my buddy Drew at the Black and Gold Banneret, and he was saying kind of a 50-50. I tend to think it's going to be 60-40 UCF. I mean, I told you about the 4 out of the top 5 attendances. UCF is present in them, so it's a sheer numbers thing. Not to mention, you mentioned Florida kind of being in a state of flux. From their perspective, they're on a downfall. They're like, oh, it's just the Gasparilla. Do I really want to go? That kind of thing, right? So that tends to let me think that UCF is more inclined to have a bit more of a representation in that all the way around, though. I do expect a bit of an ugly game. As far as the injuries and such, I asked Coach about it at his media availability last week, whether he felt like they would be the healthiest that they've been since that Louisville game I mentioned, where the people started to fall and Gabriel got injured and all that. And he said, yeah, they haven't had a stint to really stop and get healthy like they would. I mean, the last time they played football is November 26th. So that's a good amount of time to get healed. Guys that have been nicked up. Isaiah Bowser has been confirmed today to be playing on the game. So that's going to be a big deal. Matt Lee has had the most time to rest his shoulder. He's going to be in there snapping and getting that continuity for that offensive front that will make the difference between winning and losing.
We've been chatting with Kyle Nash. You can follow him one more time on @the SOTG, the student of the game. Kyle, this has been great. Hopefully Thursday night goes well for you. It's Thursday night, ESPN, I believe, at ESPN, not ESPN2, at 7 p.m. Thanks for giving us a few minutes.
Hey, I had a lot of fun, man. Thanks for having me. Looking forward to the next time.
Thank you for watching this edition of the Coach and Crew Show. We hope you enjoyed this video, and we hope you enjoy all of our videos. Please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel, as well as hitting the little bell in the corner to get all of our notifications. You can click on our logo as well to subscribe to it. And if you really like it, share it with your friends and please leave a comment. Thank you for watching.